Yeah. Hey, I'm back in my bag, I know they missing me. Ay, you know I go hard until they finish me. Ay, I wake up and grind, they try to limit me. Highway to heaven, you know we run high intensity. That's right. I'm back in my bag, I know they missing me. Ay, you know I go hard until they finish me. Ay, I wake up and grind, they tryna limit me. Highway to heaven, you know we run high intensity. Sundays with Justin, Mondays we hustling, Tuesdays still training, by Wednesday it's draining, shot wet like it's raining. It's not though, try to knock me off my pivot, I'm straight to the block though. I can't do no pump fake, still watch out for the block though. I'm not your average player, I'm all-star status. Give all y'all answers, not no ball hog bastard. Jump shot looks synthetic, but it's all natural. Body full of ice like I got back from.
What's up, y'all? It's Coach Justin. We're here again at the Sit Down Podcast. We have a very, very special guest, my guy Mike Cotton. How's it going?
All right, man. How you doing?
Pretty good. Thanks for doing this with me. First of all, let's talk about how we kind of got in touch. Actually, Wendell McKinnis actually put us in contact with each other. What's your relationship with Wendell, and like, what do you guys do together?
So Wendell is doing my social media right now. He's a social media marketer, and he studied marketing. So I was competent to put my social media in his hands. So that's how I know him.
Okay, and then he's one of my. He's a Bay Area basketball player, also who's really popular,
Right,
and then we play college basketball together. So shout out to Win, that's my guy. So appreciate you putting this together. But let's name. What's the name of your detail
My
company?
detail company is called XLNC Auto Beauty.
Mm-hmm. Let's go back before we get into that. Let's kind of talk about where you grew up, where you're born and raised, and kind of go through your life journey, and then we'll kind of get into how you started the detail company.
Okay, so I was born and raised in Oakland. Mm-hmm. I grew up in East Oakland, 96th Avenue, between Birch and Olive.
Okay.
The little spot over there. You feel me? Yeah. So yeah.
And then did you what about as far as like siblings? Did you have siblings, only child, or big family, small family?
I come from a big family. It's 8 of us.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It's
where do you fall in the ranking? As far as age?
So I'm the third oldest.
Okay.
I was the eldest boy.
Okay.
My mom had 5 girls and 3 boys.
Okay.
So I had 2 older sisters, but yeah.
Being the oldest boy, did you have like a sense of responsibility growing up?
Every child in our family had. My mother had 8 children, so everybody had a sense of responsibility to be responsible for somebody up under you.
Okay. So it does take a village. So that makes sense.
It does. Yes, sir.
What about? Did you go? You went to school in East Oakland also?
Yeah, I went to Morris Cox, Elmhurst, and Castlemont.
My mom went to Castlemont.
Is that right?
Yeah. What about after high school? What was your life like around that time?
So after high school,
or let's actually in the middle, like through high school, like how were you good in school? Were you in the streets?
I ain't gonna say scholarly, but I had to keep my grades up because I was in the Cavaliers, and you had to have good grades to be able to pull out of school to go travel or.
What is the Cavaliers?
Cavaliers was I was in the Cavaliers and the Chamber Singers. They was like the choir and the dancing choir. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but the ensemble.
Okay, I think I know what you mean.
That got to travel and you got to go on the roads the whole time and do a lot of concerts and shit like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, I kept my grades up to be in that because that was fun to me. I mean, it was like, you was a star. You feel me? Like,
right.
You shine a little bit.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, in the years that I was in there was a lot of people that was like that is connected in the music world right now. Like Tony Wayne Wiggins was the bass player in the Cavaliers the years that I was in there. And Ray came behind me when my sister was in there, so you know what I'm saying. It was, and Lettucey went to school with my sister too. So it was like the years when it was some people that was like that made it big in music was in those groups.
Oh wow, that's what's up.
Yeah,
man.
so yeah, it was a cool time. You know what I'm saying. That kept me That kept me on a positive.
It kept you busy and out of trouble, huh?
Yeah, it kept me out of trouble. Yeah.
That makes sense. And then, so when you finished with Castlemont, did you ever, as far as schooling, did you ever plan on going to college or anything like that, or?
I wanted to at the time, but like to be honest with you, man, out of high school, I was a dad, so.
Oh, really?
I had to kick in and be the daddy. You feel me? So I had to keep working, keep doing what I could do.
Do you mean that literally or figuratively? Like, did you actually have a kid?
Yes, sir.
Oh, how old were you when you had your first kid?
I was actually 20 when he was born.
Okay.
You feel me? So it was like, yeah. So it was like really pretty much.
Right, like shortly
after high school. So you
immediately went to work?
Yeah, I mean, I had to stay busy. You feel me? I had to stay to provide.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But that just made me stronger. But you know, I mean, you don't get the same opportunities when you start too early. You feel me?
No, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. So talk about that a little bit. Being that young and fatherhood, and what did you have, a boy or a girl first?
I had a boy first.
A boy first, okay.
Then I had my daughter, and so I had 5 kids altogether. So,
oh wow, 5.
Yeah, so I mean, I just you know, I kept it lit. So
that's what's up, man.
I was come from a big family, so
You're used to that.
I'm family oriented in that way. You feel me? So
so how did become? You kind of mentioned it like you knew you had to buckle down and kind of get serious and you know, start providing.
Right.
How did it feel? I mean, that's kind of like the cliche, you know, typical. How did it feel like internally? Were you like super excited to have kids, or did you feel the pressure?
No, I felt the pressure immediately because from where I was at, I mean, some people that just didn't really care at that time, right? But I came from a family where you take care of yours.
Right.
You feel my dad always, no matter what, he had 8 kids, so I mean, I don't know how he did all that. right. But he was a strong dude and he didn't say much, but he did his actions showed me everything that you got to provide for yours. There's no ands if or buts about it. If you want them to be something in life, you got to set that pace and you got to provide for them. So it wasn't never like, I felt like there was something like I just owed, you know, no. I knew that this was, you know.
I'm glad you said that too, because I always try to make it a point, because I have a 7-year-old son and I have a daughter also who's 6 months. But with my son, it was a thing of, okay, being a black man, raising a black man in this country, you don't really want to be the father where I'm gonna tell you what to do. You want to lead by example. You know what I mean? Because I learned being a kid growing up, it's easier to listen when you see that it worked for you. If you're just telling me what to do, and I'm like, well, why didn't you do it? You know what I mean? So it's a little. So I'm glad you said that, because I kind of look at father in the same way. Yeah. Like don't do as I say, do as I do. You know what I mean? Let me show you how I want you to live your life. I'm gonna live my life. You know, so it kind of makes me buckle down and be more disciplined and make the right decisions and stuff like that. So I'm glad you said that. And so 20 you had your first kid. How soon after did you have your next?
4 or 5 years.
Okay, so that's pretty.
Yes, sir. They're pretty spaced out, and you know, I mean, but you know, I had 5 children, and I mean, I had to buckle down
figure it out.
Yeah, you know, and I'm still figuring it out.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They grown now, and I'm still figuring it out. You feel me? But yeah.
What about at this time? What about like your friends? Or any of them having kids? Like, what are they doing at that time? Are any of them in the streets? Are they working? Are they in college? Like,
so where I come from, everybody was in the streets.
Right.
You feel me? It was just the reality of where we was as a community at the time. You know, our streets was flooded with drugs, and that was the biggest thing to do. So everybody was in the streets. That was the, you know, the thing to do.
To put it in perspective, around what years, or like if your teenage year, what year did you graduate high school?
I graduated 81.
81.
Right.
Okay.
So the whole
so you might have went to Castlemont with
crack epidemic started like shortly after I was out. So you know, it was like we was flooded with drugs, and everybody had money back then, and so if you knew how to, you know, be out there,
then you were gonna probably
you had that opportunity. Right. You feel me? Yeah. So, but I never, because my folks never was like okay with going to prison.
Right.
You feel me? Never. You feel me? So that wasn't my reality. It was like, okay, you got to do some shit and you got to get creative, because you're not gonna get it like that.
Exactly.
You feel me? And so I never went that route. I mean, I ain't gonna say I never went that route. I experienced it, but it wasn't for me.
Right.
You got to be ruthless. You got to have a hard shell,
Yeah.
and I wasn't cracked up for that.
Right.
I wasn't raised like that. I wasn't, you know. So
do you want to talk about your experiences a little bit more in detail or not?
we can, but it was very short experience because if you don't have that hard mentality, you ain't gonna make it in that. You feel me? And I wasn't like about to be in a situation where I could be distance from my family and from my children.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I never would take those penitentiary chances.
Yep.
It wasn't worth all that to me.
The reason I asked that is because I feel like what you said is profound because you realized it wasn't for you. I knew it wasn't for me because I never dibbled and dabbled in that either. But I feel like a lot of people get in it. They know it's not for them, but then they stay in it.
Right,
and then they end up in jail for life or, murdered, unfortunately, or doing something, getting a lot of time.
Right.
And it's just like, what was it outside of obviously your family influence? Were any of your friends or people, did you see somebody get murdered or was something traumatic that kind of was like, you know what, I'm out of this?
Basically, it was a lot of all of that.
Yeah, combination of everything.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it was like, I wouldn't trade my experiences for nothing.
Right.
Because knowing that, well, I'll put it like this. I have gotten into trouble to where I was about to go to jail. And, I didn't want to be in that position ever again. So I was like, if I could ever not do this shit, go through this right now, I'm never gonna be in the hot seat again. You feel me? And I meant that, and I stuck to that.
That's dope, man.
You know what I'm saying? I seen it happen to my brother. You know what I'm saying? When back in the day, he jumped through. Long story short, he jumped through my window, grabbed a pistol, went out and just to protect himself or whatever, and got caught with it. And he was about to do some time. And our whole family went to the courts proceedings and all of that, right? He was able to get out, juvenile, no other offenses, whatever. And he started being into music, and that kept him out. He never went back to that thought that he could just do, be a thug. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I think it all basically boils down to how you raised and what's expected of you in your household. So it's like, it's important for us to really like instill boundaries to our children, even if we don't think they're listening. Because a lot of times, my oldest son, he was on that thug path or whatever, right? And I thought I wasn't getting through to him, right? Because he was like, yeah, whatever, man. I got to get this money, whatever, right? And he made himself a little factor out here in his little group, in his little peer group, and did what he did as a youngster. But then it got old to him. You know what I'm saying? And the stuff that I was saying to him at the time, it was that whatever, right? And I thought he never really heard me, right? Until he got older, and the decisions he started making. And then he would say, he regurgitated the whole thing to me. Like he was listening, he did hear it. So even if you feel like it's not even like, if they saying whatever, man, OG, man, I don't want to hear that shit, whatever, you still got to say it because this is what the foundation of what was put in you and instilled in you, right? At the time, they don't even know, decisions to make in life.
Exactly.
And they're saying that, but they really want your guidance.
Of course.
They really want to see, you know what I'm saying? That if you don't say it because you don't think it's being heard, then you're cheating them out of the opportunity to know the right way to go. You know what I'm saying? So we got to still put it down like that.
I agree. And that was really well said. And I even want to take it a step further because growing up, I grew up in East Oakland as well. Growing up where we grow up, I feel like it takes a village, you know what I mean? So it's not, because you can be the greatest parent in the world. You can make sure your kids are, you can make sure they're provided for, you can make sure they have everything they need, but then there's still the temptation of the community. You know what I mean? Like you said, getting fast money was the norm growing up. You know what I mean? Even in my generation, you know, I grew up in the 2000s for the most part, but same thing. It's like everybody around me is getting fast money. How do I figure it out? So I'm struggling, having to go without. And then all these guys, I'm trying to go to college, I'm trying to do everything the right way, and I'm not, you know, and at the time I'm feeling like I'm not reaping the benefits. But then, like you said, in the future, it's all experience, and you never would trade it for anything. But so how did you when it comes to, you know, dealing with your son, who you mentioned had some of the issues with, you know, the streets a little bit, which is normal. So yeah, how did you like deal with your son and the temptation of, like, did you kind of like just let him figure it out and kind of give him the space, or did you kind of dig in deeper? Like, how was that? I'm only asking because I have a son.
Actually, I backed up off of him because he was like the factor in his little group. So who am I to say that it wasn't successful for him? But I had to keep on encouraging him to, you know. So he started doing his thing. He got into the music thing and everything. So, but he left that little crossroads. He didn't choose to stay on that bad road. You know what I'm saying?
That's good.
So basically, I decided to go back to school. I had a business. I had my second business, and I was going back to school. I shut it down to go back to school, and he followed me and went back to school, and that showed me right there.
Oh wow!
I mean, I'm talking about from him being a dropout to him going back and getting a GED just to get in. And he did this in like one semester. I started school, the next semester he was
in school with me.
Wow. Like he went to Edward Shan and got his GED and was in Laney with me that next semester.
Wow.
You feel me? So it's like
he was serious.
Yeah, he seen what, like, when, no, Pops was, you know, what you doing? I can get with that, and he did.
How did that make you feel?
Man, that made me feel hella proud, bro. And he was excelling in everything I was doing. He was doing the same. We were both studying media, so
that's what's up. Man.
Yeah,
that's what's up. So, let's get into a little bit. Okay, so now you're a father. Now, what were your first few jobs like? Like, what kind of jobs were you doing at first?
When I started working, I was doing fast food. My first job was Quick Ways, man. I was making, I started off as a cashier, then I was a fry cook, and then I started making the pies. When I made the pies, I was like a celebrity. I'd be on the bus, and people be saying, "Mama, that's the man that make the pies at Quick Ways." And I was the pie guy. That's what motherfuckers at school used to call me. Everybody, hilarious. I was the pie guy, right? I used to be in the window at Quick Ways making the pies, you know, and that was my first job. And then I started working at Church's Chicken and Pioneer Chicken, and so I mean, you know, that's what I did, fast food for the first couple of years. You know what I'm saying?
Did you ever? Was there ever a point when you're growing up, or you're in your 20s probably at this point, right? Did you ever like go into like a career-based job before the detailing and stuff?
No, I did what I could. What could put food on the table at the time.
So you were just kind of freelancing?
Right. And I always knew I wanted to go back to school. And I knew that if I go back to school, I can get on some real career path shit, right? But that wasn't a reality for me with a child, you know, with responsibilities at a young age.
Can you explain why?
Because it just don't add up. Okay, I'm gonna say it like this. In the black community, it's usually like your parents are hardworking people.
Yep.
It ain't like they got a
trust fund or nothing like that.
None of that shit. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So if you fuck up and you got another mouth to feed, you better take care of it. You know what I'm saying? And that was the reality. So it felt like I was in a constant, like in a
uphill battle in a way.
Yeah, it was in a constant cycle of never gonna get out of this shit.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly.
And then when, because of the way the system is set up against the black daddy, where you gonna have child support and you just making fucking minimum wage, if that. You know what I'm saying? So it's either you gonna go out here and sell some dope and live cool, or you gonna do the right thing and never have nothing. So it got to the point where, shit, man, I'm stuck. Now I started doing security. I paid a little bit more, but it was still the same goddamn thing.
Right.
So I mean, you could work all around the clock and work for everybody, and be tired and can't even enjoy life, you know. So and then it was like then child support. That make you now you going to work for free.
Yep.
Cause now they're gonna tax your ass. They're gonna take all your fucking money.
Yep.
And it feel like you can't get out of that. This cycle is endless for black people, and then you see like your counterparts excelling. They don't went to school. When you young, you don't figure it out like I didn't do everything in the right order, but it's stacked against you.
Yep.
Even if you do everything in the right order. I know people that went to college and everything, and they were security guards with me.
Yep.
You feel me?
Yep.
So it wasn't like, you know, we didn't have the same opportunity.
Yep.
You know, but then that's when I kind of like started thinking like, you gotta fucking make your opportunity out here. That's all it is. You feel me? You gotta make your own opportunity.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So since everything was stacked against me, I started a business. I didn't do everything the right way for years and years. You feel me?
About how old are you when you started the business?
So my first business that I started, before I was even doing that, I came up hustling as a kid. That's how I got into detailing, just washing cars for people. It wasn't even detailing.
Usually.
It was just washing cars.
Right. Throwing some water on it.
Yeah,
some soap.
You know, you get a bucket of water, you get some dishwashing liquid, you throw that in there, and you get a towel from the kitchen. You feel me? You wash the car, you get a towel from the bathroom, and you dry it off. There's lint and everything on the car, right? You got to get creative with it and know how to get that other towel and wipe all the lint off afterwards. Yeah. I went through all that, bro.
That's hilarious.
You feel me? And that's what people used to give me $1 to wash their car, and then I'd get me some Armor All, and then give me $5. Cause I clean, I get the window cleaner, and I just would clean a shit and get $5. You feel me? But it started off $1 a pop. You feel me? So I mean, it wasn't survival, but I was getting some now and later and shit. The kid that was valuable.
The stuff that you weren't able to get extra from, you were finding out ways to get it. That's
so basically that's how I got on into detailing. You feel me? And then I heard my brother-in-law. He was my sister's boyfriend at the time, talking about a cat that he went to school with named Ace, or I don't know if they was friends or something. But I heard him talking about him detailing at the golf course. I used to go to the golf course with him sometime when he was caddying and shit. And I heard about this dude Ace that was detailing, getting money, you know, detailing. So then I started kind of like, you know, expecting my business to pick up, because if I can do what Ace do, you know what I'm saying? And I already know how to wash a car hella good. Like everybody that want their car washed will call me and say, and when I say call me, it wasn't like hit me on it, but wasn't none of that shit back there to be
screaming down the street.
Hey, you want to make $1? You know what I'm saying?
The old cell phone.
Yeah, the old cell phone, right? And I go and wash their car, and then I had my own little bottle of Armor on and a little sponge. I didn't know back then you sucking it all up in the damn sponge. Like I was throwing away shit. But anyway, you know, I mean, it got me to being interested in being able to clean cars.
That's what's up.
Feel me? So basically, when I started my first business, it was actually with Wendell's uncle. And we wasn't even doing detailing. We were doing marketing. Back then we was just talking on a level of black people need to do business with black people.
Really?
Way back then we was talking about. Look,
around what time is this?
This is in
the 80s?
Yeah, this is like no, it was like 1990 or
so early 90s,
89,
late 80s,
90.
early 90s.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
So we talking about we talked about having a directory for black businesses back then, right?
Really?
And we was gonna call it the Black Pages, and it was another company that started off with Black Pages right when we was trying to make the name. So we said, okay, well, in our community, it's more than just black people, but we want to deal with the minority clientele. So we said the Rainbow Pages, and we started doing marketing for businesses in our community and trying to, you know, hook up a directory for them. And so we started this company, Innovative Incentives, and that's what we was doing marketing for minority businesses. And it never really took off, but we had a lot of great ideas, and we kind of like, you know, we had got an office downtown, so that got that entrepreneurial spirit going, right? And we started, you know, networking with people, and, you know, we was coming across the right people to kind of like get in, but the lady that had the Black Pages, she was doing a lot more because she was older, she had more experience, she had
more resources, probably.
All of that, right? So we was kind of like, you know, trying to do what she was doing, but she was putting on events and all kind of stuff that we couldn't really attract those kind of people, right? So I was like, you know what, maybe we need to get some money coming in. Let's try. Look, I know how to detail cars, so let's try detailing it. And if it makes some money, then we can put it into the
marketing. Use that to fund that.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then it was kind of like, but then there was like, fuck it, let's try it. And we went, we hired this dude to train us in what I didn't know how to do. I knew how to wash a car, clean cars real good. I didn't get degrease and get the oil off the rims and tires and shit like that, right? But I didn't know about buffing. I knew about waxing.
Right.
But if it was a car that was like, because back then the paints wasn't like it is now. If the car was oxidized, you had to rub it out. You had to do compound. You had to do some buffing to get that car to shine again. Right. I knew how to wax, but I couldn't get the car to shine if it had oxidation on it. So we hired this dude named Phil Brown to train us, right? The dude that left here earlier, the dude on that picture, he came with us because he said he know how to detail, and he went to all of these. He went. He trained a lot with detailers that he was working with, and he had skills. So he was going to come and train with us. And the dude Phil Brown was like, "That dude just as good as y'all, man. I mean, just as good as me, you know." So we ended up hiring him. We opened up our first detail shop, and he was our wheel man to buff the cars. Because I mean, we didn't have the experience. We trained this dude to teach us, but nobody really picked up the buffer because we had this cat.
Right.
You feel me?
Yeah.
I'm gonna find out later on, he had limitations on his buffing ability, but he knew more than we did.
Right.
But he stuck with me through my first detail shop was Air Wash. It was me, Leonard McKinnis, and Eric Bradford. We all worked at the airport together, and we all put in money in the pot. And from Innovative Incentives, we did the detail shop by the airport. It was called Air Wash. So our whole gimmick was to detail people's cars that's out when they fly out and have them clean when they come back, right? So I sold it to the right cat. He had a lot. He was like, I own a lot, but I don't own the parking facility. It was a brand new facility. It was a lady named Sam. We started detailing on the lot with Sam, and her thing was the guy that owned the lot. He said, you know, that was a brilliant idea. He wished I would have came to him before Sam came, because it sounded like it was something that he would be interested in. But he ended up letting me talk to her, and she went for it. She was like, okay, the only thing is I got a new business. I need some help around here. If you guys could help me out with the shuttle service and with parking people and stuff like that until I get in the groove of it, it'll work. And I was like, okay, we did that, right? Excuse me. So we set it up, and we started getting a lot of little customers. We got a little system going where we would know what day they come back, and we would, detail their car right before they come back so they don't be all dusty and shit. So we were figuring that out as we go, and we had a nice little clientele for a couple of years until she started wanting more. And so my guys was like, man, she wanted too much. Yeah. So they started kind of like being against being there, you know, like we can do this somewhere else. And we hadn't found. I was like, okay, I ain't gonna just give up because we ain't found another spot.
Right.
But they was like, I'm out. So I stayed there, and it ended up being where she wanted a lot. Like she had a water main break, and she was like, "Well, you guys use water," and it was like maybe $7,000 or $6,000. I was like, "Please, you know, I was out, right?" So I ended up started detailing out of my car, doing the clients that I already had, and like finding some new people to deal with, whatever. And then I ended up opening the spot on 91st and International a couple of years later, after detailing out of my car for a while. That was out of my car wasn't really like, I wasn't on the level that I was. Well, for one, the internet wasn't around yet, so it was like, you know, just the people that you know,
right,
immediate friends, and you know, people that you know that
referrals and stuff like that. Yeah.
So, so I ended up opening up a couple of years later. I opened up a spot on 91st and International, and I was there for like 17 years. I really cut my teeth there. All of this time, I'm running a legit business that's not legit. Everything is, because of the child support, I could only make so much money without them taking everything. So I would go work security, and that was my job. They could take the money. Right. But you know what I'm saying? I'm not all the way legit over here.
Right.
But I had to do that for years and years. I could have been a Bible business and had been able to go into banks and do all of the shit and cut free from all of that, but it was that child support looming over me for years and years, and it kept me from being all that I could be. So I first started thinking like, you know, I know I'm missing so much of the formula right here. You know what I'm saying? I was like, man, I gotta figure this shit out. So my business is booming though, all the time, good money coming in. But I can't really be legit though, you know what I'm saying? So, and it got to the point where just doing it and not growing. I had the shop on 91st and International. I opened up another one down the street because I had a lot of overflow. It used to be like Saturday, it'd be cars lined up out of the place. People be like, Mike, man, I want to wait, but you know, I gotta go, man. It's just like you got too many clients right now, right? Yeah. So it was popping, hand over fist, money all the time. Like the business stayed popping.
Did your guys from the team from Airwash come back?
No, actually, 2 of them did. Okay. The guy that I'm talking about, that just left here, he came back every time. Like whatever I did, he always popped back into the flow. But I had a couple that was just diehards. And I got new people all the time, but
how before you, not to cut you off, how did you go about hiring employees or whatever, people to work with you? How did you go about that?
Actually, it was just people that from the community that needed work.
That's what I figured. That's
they
why
needed to feed their family, and that's what it ended up being.
And see that?
I put it like this, man. My when I got started doing business, my mother was like, you know, always trying to instill the right values, and she read me passages out of the Bible about your slaves, and then she was like, it's not about slaves, really slaves, it has to do with, you know, you taking care of people that's taking care of you, and you know, you can't use people. And she just came in a way where what she knew about, and this is for my mom and my dad, because, you know, it was like both of them, like what they learned about life, they learned it from the Bible, they learned it from church, they learned it from, you know, trying to be good people.
Right, yep.
You feel me? So they was trying to instill in me what, you know, you can't use people, you can't, you know. So basically, when I started like knowing that, I mean, okay, I'm doing this all illegal anyway, but for me to make a living off of it, I have to be right.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I have to be right.
And to get clients, to get people, customers to want to come, you got to treat them the right way. You got to be a good person. That goes a long way. You know what I mean?
You know, it does. And it has to do with everything that you do got to be in the right sync, or
I agree.
You're going backwards. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, so I mean, When it got to where I was making a living off of this, it was wrong the way I was doing it, but I was comfortable.
Your heart was in the right place.
And it was growing. I mean, I started off with the detail shop. I opened up the little overflow lot about on 106. That was like, when I'm too busy here, I could send them right down the street to my other shop. And then it started being where I couldn't watch everything that was going on. So, you know, I had to shut this one down. And then I tried here, and then I opened up a restaurant.
Oh, really?
Yeah, at the shop that everybody knew about.
Oh, so it was a shop and a restaurant?
Right.
What kind of food?
It was, oh man, it was chicken, fish, we did cheesesteaks, we did burgers, we did breakfast all day. It was the perfect spot. It was.
Do you cook too?
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's when I was in the kitchen right there.
Oh wow.
You feel me? That's the writer's menu on the little
right here,
right there.
Writer's Cafe and Deli.
Yeah, Writer's Cafe and Deli.
Wow.
Full breakfast, fast menu, fish and chicken, cheesesteaks.
So what was the name of the one on 91st?
It was Writer's Cafe and Deli.
The detail shop.
Detail shop. It started off to be. It started off as Sprinkle Detail Center.
Okay, Sprinkle.
It was Sprinkle Detail Center, and then it was Writer's Detail.
Okay, and then you had Writer's Cafe and Deli. Right. Okay, that's what's up.
So yeah. And
what inspired you to do that?
Because it started off. It was supposed to be my partner that ended up at the air wash with me. My partner and his woman did hair. Me and him detailed together. I brought him in with the detail with me. So, and then my woman at the time was doing hair. She had just got up into it. She was good with hair, but she wasn't trained.
Right.
So I sent her to school, bought all of the shit for her to do hair. She was doing hair at the house, making some cool little chains.
Right.
So me and him was supposed to open up a detail shop, and they were supposed to open up a salon together in the same place. That's why I got that building. The building had a nice sized building, and then it had a nice sized lot. So it was like, okay, y'all gonna be doing hair inside. We're gonna be doing cars outside. So we was gonna have a co-ed salon. It was gonna be men and women doing hair in there, and there was gonna be a detail shop outside. So we was gonna get all the money. You know what I'm saying? It was a good plan.
Right.
But everybody was having doubts about it and scared about it or whatever, and I was the only one that was like, everything I make, I'm putting it into this shit, right? And then so I put down a deposit on the place, and we was all supposed to go in on it, but everybody reneged. My partner and them, they was like, oh, we're going to go to this trip to Hawaii, and when we come back, we're going to think about it. And my girl, she started spending hell. It was just
nobody was on the same page.
Nobody was on the same page. So all I had was, the job I had 2 paychecks that I saved, sleeping on my sister's couch. I gave the lady the money, and I opened it up with nobody, just me and just, ride it out. But now I got this building that I ended up living in for a while because, it was like, I got the building and then I got the spot. The building was like my apartment for the first year or so.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm living in the building doing business out of the lot. And then the guy that moved next door, he got that building right here it was fucking literally falling down, and he put studs in the wall and put some kind of system in there to hold it together. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, before that he had a restaurant, and he was like he was fixing cars and shit like that. So he got that building to fix cars in, and we was talking all the time. He was like, I was like, I had got this to be a hair salon, but he was like, this would be a good spot for a restaurant. So he was like, he had just had a restaurant and closed it down, or he had closed it down, and he was like, this would be a good spot for a restaurant. So I was like, you know what? I wanted to put a restaurant in here since I didn't do the hair salon, cause and then I had moved out of there, so the building was empty. So me and him started putting shit in the building, to make it a restaurant.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? And the owner, she was like, if y'all want to put a restaurant in there, that's cool because it's set up for a restaurant, it's zoned for it. Because she bought the building to be a restaurant for her daughters, but they got robbed and they didn't want to be in there. So it was already zoned for it. So everything was a go. So we started putting this shit in there. It took us about maybe a whole season to put it together, but then we opened up, me and him opened up a restaurant there, and then he opened up his old restaurant, so I ended up buying him out, and he went and did his thing. And so then I had the restaurant there. You know what I'm saying? And that was going cool.
So when he leaves, you got the detail shop in the restaurant, and you're by yourself pretty much as far as ownership.
Right.
Really?
Yeah. So now it's just me. And then at the time, I did not mean for my wife to work up in there, but she was pregnant with my first daughter, and she wasn't at work. She was there all the time, so she just ended up running the restaurant. And that's how it ended up being. Like, I was stuck in the restaurant, but now I got the detail shop outside. I lost a few customers like that. The old school people that was used to me sitting back there playing dominoes with them and having a drink with them. Now they talking about, you know, I mean, I had clients that would be like I was a friend of their family or something, like, because of the detail shop. So they'd be like, oh, you know Anthony going to college, you know he got accepted, and now I can no longer sit there and back there with them. So they was like, oh, that nigga acting funny. He got a little restaurant, he can't even talk to a nigga no more. He don't even play dominoes no more, you know, that kind of stuff. I lost some customers behind it. But it was growing pains, you know what I'm saying? And
they don't understand, you know, they look at it like that, but they don't understand because they're not going through it.
Right. So, but it was a blessing. It was a blessing to go through those phases, you know. And so I had that, and then I put a little store in the back of the restaurant, and I used to take pictures of people's cars.
Is that where some of these pictures are coming from?
Yeah, all of those pictures are. I used to take pictures like that, and just, I don't know how I ended up keeping all of these for myself, for them to be artwork now, but they were basically just pictures that people would buy. They would see their picture, they car, oh shit, man, let me buy that.
Yeah.
You know? And I did that. I was selling blunts out of there because everybody smoked, and air fresheners and cigarette lighters and all of the stuff out of the little store in the back. And then people would go in there and get something to eat. So it was like a whole little economy.
Like a one-stop shop, pretty much.
Yeah.
So at this time, is this all profitable to you, or are you kind of just?
Actually, it was profitable. It was profitable, but I couldn't do everything the right way. You know what I'm saying? Because of the child support.
Child support, right.
So I couldn't make it really blow up to be what it could have been. Because
you were limited, because you had the, okay, that makes sense. I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was like having this dream that you can't even, when you wake up, it ain't there.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? It could have been a lot of growth. And I said, at one point, I was like a slave to my business. I would come. It don't matter how much money I was getting. It was the responsibility of opening this monster up and letting everybody get money, and I can't even live like a boss. Like, you know.
You can't enjoy your time, your money.
So it got to be where it wasn't worth it to me no more. And everybody was like, man, you making all this money. How could you? I'll shut it down and go to school. I'll shut it down. And I just wanted to try getting an understanding about where I'm going in my life. You know what I'm saying?
So at this point, are you thinking about walking away from detailing, or you just thinking about how do I expand detailing?
No, okay, this is like the first letdown was when I opened up another shop, and it was prosperous if I was there. So every time I go here,
shop on 106?
Yeah. So every time if I go down here, then
that one is messed up.
This one is waning. You know, customers calling me, I ain't never coming up there no more, man. You used to be, now, you know, all that. First you had, you know, this is always. So I said, okay, well, I need to be right there on there where I can just, you know, make money. And then, but every time I leave, the thing fall apart. People start taking money for themselves, and everybody get, you know, self-centered or whatever. And it just got to that point where, okay, I'm only gonna make it right here on this corner. But it was just really about, I can't do it the right way. I can't expand like I want to because I'm not doing everything the right way, basically, you know? So, and then when it got to be where I felt a slave to it, where when I go turn the key in the morning to get in there and make all that money, it felt like I had to shit. It's like, oh damn, I got a boo. Like every morning I get the bubble guts because I don't really want to do this no more. It became a physical thing to me. Like I don't feel well. You know what I'm saying? And I think that was just really the beginning of me understanding, you know, that put shit in perspective and approach them the right way if you want to grow with this. But once I stopped and shut it down and went back to school, I realized that I had all this shit in me already as far as how to guide and direct and do all of this. But it was just that I had to learn how to delegate responsibility and how to choose how my energy is being dispersed. You know what I'm saying? And so school didn't teach me school shit. It taught me that I had this in me, but I have to channel it. So, and when I started going to school, just the relaxation of not being in that same cycle all the time showed me, because I had just really let the money thing go. When I was in school, I was a broke student. I was living like a broke student. How I was making money, I was doing videos for people. You know, I make $400 or $500 a week doing that, you know, doing videos, editing somebody's piece, stuff like that, right? So, and it kind of like, I went to school for business, but I ended up finding, I was like, for me to get through school with this shit, I'm gonna have to find something that keeps me fascinated. So that was the media. I started learning how to edit video and finding out that I'm a good storyteller, finding out that I have this knack for just pulling some shit together. I could make a production jump off without even thinking about it. Just go do it. You know, where people was actually spending a lot of time planning, I was just going in, seeing a vision and making it work.
I work better like that.
So I mean, I had put together a brilliant team when I was going to Laney, that we could just pull shit off like, you know, overnight, you know, and just and turn out some brilliant projects, you know. So I ended up, the business was what I was going to school for. I got an AA in business, but I got an AA in broadcast in media arts too, right? So I ended up transferring, going to San Francisco State and getting my degree in, getting a bachelor's degree in broadcast electronic media arts. And I was good with the shit. I mean, when I first went to the state, you know, I mean, all my shit was, everything that I put out, everything that I touched was looking real professional. You know what I'm saying? To where I was even giving advice to some of my professors over there.
Really?
You know, because it was like the change of, it was back when analog was going out and HD was coming in, and I didn't know anything about analog like that. I wasn't really on the analog tip, so I was kind of advanced in that sense. And coming from Laney, they let you be hands-on. When I went to San Francisco State, you have to study first and do all of these hours and all of this theory, and you're not. This is a creative art. You can't learn it in the book so much. You got to learn it with your eyes, and you gotta visualize it, and you gotta shoot and fuck up enough times to say, okay, this ain't working. I can't take this thing when I edit it. It's not. This is the wrong lighting. The music was way too loud. I should have turned. You know, you got to be able to do all of that before you can. All that theory, it was just too much.
The technical terms and all of that. That's interesting you say that, because everything I do is self-taught. And I thought about, it was a friend of mine who actually was on the show. She works for a pretty big company and doing like broadcasting and everything. So I was asking her off camera, like, hey, you think I should go back to school? And she's like, no. Like, you're way too, you'll be wasting your time. You know, you're so beyond that. But I prefer to learn on trial and error. You know what I mean? Like, I make so many mistakes to this day. On my podcast and when I'm doing commercials or whatever, at my marketing, whatever, I make so many mistakes, man. But I prefer, because That way I can figure it out, and I know nobody's just going to...
You ain't going to make them mistakes again.
Ever.
And they're going to excel you to another level.
And on top of that, it's teaching me how to teach. So now now that I'm building my company and I'm hiring other videographers and I'm teaching people how to edit and I'm having interns and all of these things, I know how long it takes to edit a video. If an interview takes 2 hours, I know how long it takes you to edit that. I can teach you how to edit. I can teach you little tricks that I know. You know what I mean? And you'll learn stuff on your own. So I prefer that. So that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So when you get out of San Francisco State, you finish there, what do you do immediately after that?
So while I was there, I was doing a lot of documentary work, a lot of, documentary work. You can follow a story for 2 years, 3 years, and it might not even materialize to something that's going to be actually
worth it.
You know what I'm saying? but just honing those skills are good for when you do have a good story. Nothing. You know how you can have a lot of footage that don't mount to nothing. But you learn how to use other implements
to piece it together. Yep. I know exactly what you mean. So you speaking the same language to me, so I know exactly what you mean.
So it's all about the experiences you get out of doing the different projects. I did a lot of documentary. I did I was dealing with a lot of artists at the time because
artists or music artists.
I'm talking about artists,
like painters and drawers. Right. Oh, really?
And I was like doing artist profiles. I would follow their journey, like when they're working on a project or something like that, and make a nice little video of it or whatever. And that I did that more as an interest, and then I did like a lot of work with some nonprofits.
Okay.
Because it just gave me the experience, and I did a lot of short movies for other people, like just to take the role of a videographer for them and put together a nice story. I did a lot of that kind of stuff for pay when I got out of San Francisco State, being out of the workforce and out of being in school for those years, I have never, as a grown man, taken time out and just did some studying to where I wasn't really tripping out for money, you know what I'm saying, and just going in like that. So it was like a need for me to get back into the workplace. So I started working security again, and while I'm working security, I'm doing videos, editing, and stuff like that, and it started coming back to me that, a lot of stuff that I was doing, working in media, people in this area don't have a lot of money to pay for production. They don't have the money that it takes for me to do it as a business. To live off either I'm gonna take my family, we're gonna go up to LA area where it's a lot more opportunity, or we're gonna work in these markets that I can make money in this shit. Or I need to find a job in it. So I started working for the state because I was in the DMV one day, and they was playing some little ads in the DMV for local business. And I started looking at the numbers, so I was like, shit, man. I started calling the state, finding out who does these videos. There was like in-house videos that they would go out in the community and make a video. And I was like, shit, man, when the state has a video department? So I got a job with the state doing toll collecting, because if you get in the state and you can take these tests and all of that and get in different classifications. So I started doing that, wanting to work in their media department because it paid pretty well, whatever. And while I'm waiting on that to fall through, I'm working for them for the toll collecting and working security. And I'm like, this is not the kind of, this ain't my thing unless I get this job.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not cut out for this toll collecting. It's not gonna pay me the kind of money. If I'm gonna be doing this kind of shit, I could be doing security where I can go ahead and work on my own projects, right? So I started thinking about getting back into detailing because my bread and butter is what I know. You know what I'm saying? And the projects that I was working on in media needed me to put the money into for production.
Yep.
So I said I could put more money into production if I'm making that kind of money that I was making when I had my shop. Right. So I started looking into doing a shop again, and it just didn't look like what it used to look like. Because you had to have all of these. You had to just jump through a lot of hoops to have a shop, and then it just everything was changing. So with it being a gig economy, and I really started figuring this out as I started looking into how I can make this money, right? Then I started looking into like mobile services. That's what everything is going. Everything was going towards. People, you got
on demand.
Yep. You got people bringing groceries to your house. Yep. You got people that's going to the damn Chinese restaurant and getting food and bringing it to your door, like middleman shit, right? And I'm like, okay, this is cool. I was like, but I started thinking about how I could do this, and then this company popped up in San Francisco called Cherry. It was a detail company. They had an app. It was called Cherry, right? And so I started looking into them, right? Okay, I'm gonna work for them and find out how they doing this app shit, and I'm gonna try to do this right. But I'm thinking all the time, that shit ain't gonna work because that's not detailing, that's car washing.
Yeah.
And they got it, as a detail service, but it's not detailing. Yeah. So I started watching what they doing, and I went, and talked to them, and it was like, okay, we'll send you out with a kit and all of this, right? And the kit was like something that you would like. That you can go at Walmart and buy all your own little shit and put it in a bucket and go from door to door and make you some money. Right. So I started thinking like, okay, this is not detailing though, this is car washing. Right. You know what I'm saying? And anyone can probably do this. People are not gonna pay big money for something that they can do in their own driveway on Saturday morning.
Exactly.
So I started being like, okay, I wanna do a mobile service. But I want it to be real detailed because this is not gonna work what they doing right here. And so I was working security. I was working 2 different security companies, making good money because I was like at the premier spots in San Francisco, and that's where you get paid pretty nice if you know security. But I was working around the clock and I was wearing myself out. And I'm like, I said I'm gonna go ahead and jump back into this detail shit, but I was making so much money with the security, I couldn't see myself actually doing it, right? And then this dude called me one time when I was at work. I had just said I was gonna do this, and I had just bought a van and was putting it together, and the dude called me and said, hey, I wanna get my bike detailed, and I can't find anybody. I looked up detailing and he told me every search he made and everything. He said, you the only one to pop up. Now he calling me on a phone number that I had from the detail shop days that I haven't used in years for detailing. So when he called and said, now are you writers? And I was like, yeah, She was like, oh, God, I've been looking for you guys, woody whoop, right? You're the only detailer that still do bikes in the Bay Area. And I'm like, how do you get that from, where did you get that from? Right. So he started telling me how he did the search. So now it's kind of intriguing that he calling me for one, but this whole search thing. So I go talk to him and he say, I've been looking for somebody. This is an old Buell. It was a bike I didn't even know about. I deal with all of the biker clubs when I had my detail shop. I was like in the middle of everything. The Dragons was down the street. Yeah, I was about to say you was right by the Dragons. All the bike clubs on East 14. I was in the middle of everything, but I never knew about these bikes he was having, right? And he was like, it's a Harley bike, but it's a Buell. And I was like, oh. So I came and looked at it, and I was like, well, I charge $65 an hour. He was like, how long do you think it'll take? I said, I don't know. He said, you know what? I'll accept your I'll accept your terms because I want this bike done. And I said, okay. Took me 10 hours. He was like, okay, how much? I threaded it out like, you know what? This detailing shit, it ain't like it used to be, right? Especially if you know what you want to charge, you gonna get it if you good.
Yep.
Cause I took my time on that man's bike, and he paid it. It wasn't a problem.
Right.
And he told other people about me, and I got another job off of him.
And that's what it's all about.
So it just showed me. But so my thinking though at the time was, it wasn't about, oh, I made this money. It wasn't. I wasn't surprised because I put my back into it and made the money, right? But it was about the search shit that I wasn't thinking about. Like, if you can get the right, if you can get you can reach the right market if you do the research.
Yep.
You can reach the right market if you do the right research.
Yep.
And not only that, you got to be great, and you got to tell people that you're great about what you do, and then you got to get them to say it.
Yep.
Well, I'm talking too much.
No, you're not.
I'm talking too
much.
much.
No, you're preaching.
Huh?
Because no, you're not talking too much because I agree with you. Because when it comes to being an entrepreneur and you're dealing with people in your direct community, and you might know these people, they might be family, friends, or whatever. We tend to feel guilty for pricing ourselves as we feel we're worth, and we can't do that. You know what I mean?
We can't do that because we're not dealing with the right market. There's a market for it. Know, first of all, that there's a market for what you do. If you do it well, there's a market
exactly.
for it.
And that's where I was going.
Yeah, so basically that's where it was.
Yep.
And it was like, okay, all these years of experience that I have, it's worth. I mean, I did like, I did 17 years on international in the hood in a spot that was really like, the whole area was plagued with gun violence, with turf traffic, all of the shit, right? And my shop was a neutral ground for a lot of cats. They wouldn't, go overboard in that neutral ground. And it was because, for one, I was a part of the community in a way where it was bringing an economy to that area. It was bringing some hope to that area. People that was that needed service was able to get it. People that needed money was able to come and make money there. It was other business that thrived off of
your foot traffic.
My foot traffic. So it was all in the right circle. It was all good. It was all positive energy. Not all.
I know what you mean. Yeah, for the most part. Yeah. It's never gonna be perfect.
Right. So I mean, it was like, that was an experience that once I closed those gates, I felt like that phase was over. Right. But I didn't realize that
you could go higher.
Yep. You feel me? Off of being in the hood, making that shit happen. Yep. So
learning essentially the same thing school would have taught you. Right. You pretty much was self-taught off of getting your hands dirty. Yeah.
Right. Off of bumping my head.
Yep.
Like,
yep.
No,
exactly.
that didn't work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So basically, it was all good experience. And now I look back at it, even the thing with the child support, it was a bad dynamic to be in as a black man trying to further himself and be better. But once I went through the whole transition of going back to school for one, I'm gonna tell you the only thing that was good, really, that set me into the going in the right direction with the school shit. The best thing that I learned about that is the Afro Studies program, where you're confronted with where you are in this world as, studying your whole dynamic, how you got to be where you are.
And where you want to go.
And experiencing that and deciding that you're going to teach others around you that you don't have to be there. You don't have to be there. So if you there, you choosing to be there.
Exactly.
So, and the only way that I felt like I could do that, really do that, is to be a beacon. Make some moves, make some shit happen.
Figure
and then
it out.
when people say, "Oh man, you got this and you doing this and you got this going on," then you can do the same shit.
Let me show you how.
And so that's how I got to where I'm at right now. You feel me? And I felt like at one point, I'm gonna tell you what really excelled me back into the whole, how I'm even going in this direction, because I could have just gotten me a van and went out and did as much as I could do.
On your own.
Right.
Right.
Is that I felt inspired to help others because I got all this rich gain from being in this, right? And I could only do so much with it,
Yep.
right? But I could spread it and inspire others to go take it even further. You feel me?
Yep.
And so my nephew at the time was getting in trouble like teenagers do.
Right.
Young boys that, you know what I'm saying, they come up, they see what's going on the street, they think they want to be a part of that. That's not where our family has always been, but if that's what he's seeing around him, that's the thing to do. You know, so I mean, to scale that back and say, man, we don't get on like that. It may not fly with everybody, so you kind of gotta like offer an alternative. You feel me? And so at the time, he was getting in a little shit and whatever, and I started saying, look, bro, you don't have to. Don't have to be your reality.
Right.
This don't have to be your reality. That's not what we are, and that's not where you have to be.
Yep.
You know, but I know I had to show him something different.
Yep.
So I was like, you know, I started taking him on jobs with me, going out to meet people, you know, going out there. We was going to different places doing work, and he's seeing what kind of people that's really prospering, like that you look up to, like, wow, they got it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And you know, they say some things, they expose him to a little game, you know, something that, but it's just the exposure to everybody's not living like that hood life. You know, you got even young people your age that's doing it in Silicon. We was mostly, because at first I was mostly marketing to the like the whole
tech
.com or tech people, right?
Yep.
So we was going to Milpitas a lot. We was going to you know, all out that way, Silicon Valley, and it be like young cats that'd be like maybe a year older than him, 2 years older than him, like pulling up in new Teslas and Jaguars and clean ass shit. I mean, just really nice shit. And you know, and they just like, you know, they spend all of their time on campus wherever they working at. And they don't mind spending, you know, $600-700 on their car.
Right.
If you could sell them, if you know how to sell them on some shit,
Yeah,
they're gonna buy it
for
because they're not even leaving it. Google is paying their ass for being there. They paying them to develop this stuff, and they don't even have to leave the campus. They eat there. They do all. They got all these perks. The companies is calling us. Hey, come out and take care of these guys, and we're gonna take care of you. You know what I'm saying? And they seeing this, he's like, okay, this is on some whole different type shit.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
showing
saying?
them different,
So, I mean, he started being kind of like inquisitive, like, well, how, you know, okay, well, you got to actually be doing good work. You have to actually be doing this. So, in doing that, I started kind of like piquing an interest in him. I mean, I ain't gonna say he never got in trouble again. He did, but he's making wiser decisions now. So I was kind of like doing it, like I started doing this, I called it the Nephew Project. And it was like a training for youngsters to just kind of like show them a little bit about, you don't have to, this might be your reality for generations, but it don't have to be your reality
forever.
You can make whatever you want to happen.
I agree.
But you have to step into it. And you have to let go of that old mentality. And you have to see something that nobody else sees. That's your way out. See
that vision that you have that nobody can see but you have to go and get that vision.
That's you have to step into that, and you have to make that your reality. And then once you do that, you're in control. You know what I'm saying? Then you ain't got to work. You ain't got to be like, welcome to McDonald's, man, I'll take your orders, please. You know what I'm saying? Grown ass men, like, you know, this is the reality of being in the hood. You're going to work for McDonald's, you're going to work for, you know.
No, you're right.
And that's going to be it. Like, even with, you know, the gig economy, you going to work for Uber and the drive people. But why not be the fucking drive people? Why not be in, you know what I'm saying?
And even a side note on that, I feel like, because not everybody is equipped to be a boss or an entrepreneur.
Right.
But I feel like at least go work for a small business, because at that point it's more hands-on, you're more these corporate companies, they don't care about you. You know what I mean? And it's like the more you work for them, the more you see it, and it's like, damn, I'm just an employee number. These people ain't never met me, and I'm making these people rich. They paying me pennies. And it's like, so what I say is always find what your passion is. Find what any of your hobbies are, stuff that you like to do for fun, and figure out ways to make profit from it. If you like to cook, man, sell plates. You know what I mean? If you like to wash cars, if you're good at washing cars, man, just do it on the weekend. You know what I mean? You don't have to open up a whole shop or a company. Just start small and work, and then you'll start to how myself. You know, because I started off renting out a studio, and I was like, you know, I was just same as you when you would go work for what was it, Cherry, or what was the place called in San Francisco?
I didn't actually ever work for them.
But you looked into it.
I looked into it, and when I went back to work, I was like, okay, now it's my time to find out what they can do to get in all these markets.
Exactly.
Right. And when I went back to work for them, they folded. When I looked them up, it was like they was in like the Fortune 500 the first year. The next year they was a bust. Yeah. And the stories that it was pretty much like arguments of, you know how people analyze shit and comment on it. All of the analysts or the people that was saying that they was going to be the up and coming companies was like, they weren't
training.
People were looking for detailers, but they was going from car to car. They was trying to get through that,
a bunch of
next
them.
one.
So quantity over quality.
Right. So you hiring people that just want to get to the next job. So they leave the spots on the cars. They getting the reviews just went down the drain, and they had been paying to get their name out there with the SEO and all of the stuff that you do to get your company up there, right? And then when the quality workmanship didn't come in, they folded. And they folded, and they made millions in their first year. So they thought they was going to excel.
Continue,
But it was like, oh no, they're not detailing.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like, wow. I showed my wife that article. I was like, remember I told you this shit? I was still working security, right? I called her in the middle, right? Remember I told you this shit? Look, I'm gonna send it to you. And I sent it. She was like, yeah, well, you know what to do. You feel me? So I started marketing mine and started doing what I could do to get it out there. And I went through a lot of hurdles and obstacles trying to figure out, you know, but the thing was, you got to have a good product, you got to get good workmanship, and you got to be consistent with it. You know what I'm saying? And with me training a young team that didn't know all of the stuff that I went through when in the shop phase, they didn't know what to be scared of, so they was fearless. Yeah. And they helped me.
That's what's up.
My young team helped me build it. That's what's up. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, and it built back up, and you know, it wasn't easy. But
how long did it take you, do you think, to get to where you are now? How long have you been back open? Let's ask.
I've been back 3 years.
That's it?
I've been back 3 years. So I started off, and basically, I started off with one van. It was just me and this other guy, Ben. He's been an integral part of my business growing, because actually, the story is, when I shut down my shop and started going back to school, I wasn't getting no money. I was doing cars in my driveway, and I couldn't do that all the time. So my clientele started dwindling off or whatever. So. And then I was actually using my dad's driveway on 96, and he said he don't want them cars coming to his house. So I had to find a spot, and I had all my equipment and all the shit. And this young cat around the corner was doing cars at a shop across the street from AutoZone. And I went and hollered at him and was like, you know, he said, oh, I know who you are. Yeah, you had something. Yeah, I know who you are. So we started talking about it, and he was like, man, you want to come work? Come to work, you know what I'm saying? It's our business, right? I was like, no, this ain't our. He was like, no, you're a legend out here, OG. It's our business. Whatever you want to do. He gave me the keys to the shop and everything. And I was going to school. I could only work like on the weekends or when I didn't have a lot of, you know,
Homework and stuff.
Right, homework and stuff. So I couldn't accept that offer. You know what I'm saying? Because that would have took me back into
fully committing to that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just was like, I'm gonna be real with you, man. I appreciate it, but I can't do it. I'm gonna come when I can. So, and he was good with it, but I seen he was hardworking. I seen that, you know, I passed on a little game to him where I could. And so when I started doing this again, I went back and found him and was like, bruh, I'm doing this, you know, doing the mobile thing now. If you want to come in, here go the keys. It's me and you. He was like, oh, OG, it ain't me and you, but I come help you. It's the same thing.
That's dope.
And he been side by side with me. I send the dude out on jobs. He worked just as hard, and he got the same kind of integrity.
That's what's up.
You know what I'm saying? And we sit up and have these masterful conversations about life and some real shit. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
And so, you know, I mean, I offered him to be right side by side with me in the business. He didn't accept that, but he's given me 100%.
The effort as if he is.
Right.
That's what's up, man.
So, you know, it's like, it was just me and him in the van, and it was like a little van. You know, we was going out on jobs, sending him out. Then the van got stolen. So this was like when the pandemic first hit. And I was like, oh shit, man, we can't even. So we was like, I bought another van because we got a contract to do some buses, Kaiser buses, right? The shuttles. And I had to have another van with a bigger tank. So I got another van, and it was good for him because he was a big dude, right? And so he started going out on that van, and then they stole that van. So it was like, damn, we keep on getting, man, we can't win for losing, right? Like each time, and it was during the pandemic, so the insurance company was taking forever. Yeah. So my business started like, oh fuck, we can't even really go out on jobs, but I started being creative of like, I'm not gonna let this shit defeat me.
Right.
We started, I had another van. Once I got it equipped with all the stuff, then they had stolen just broken the van and stole the stuff twice from him, right? So we recovered both times without going through no insurance or none of that. And then they stole it again and stole the whole van. And we had to rebuild from there. And this was like right at the height of the pandemic, right? But I went and bought all of the little disinfecting machines and started advertising disinfectant for your car. And it kind of like, it started a fever within the business, and people started being like, you know, you started calling me. Yeah. And it just started, from there, it just started taking off. And so everything that I was making, I was like reinvesting in marketing and looking for new ways to get out there. And, you know, it seemed like it wasn't paying off, but then it just started going crazy a little, you know? And so the place that I'm in, the people started calling me to come do their cars, and they kind of like recruited me to come on a regular basis, and then I ended up getting a spot here. And I really wasn't trying to get a spot, but I was looking for a place where I could house my vans because I was tired of people stealing my vans, right? So just the necessity of needing a spot led me to go ahead and get this spot over here. And it was everything that I needed as far as the nephew project, training youngsters. I could do it here. I can put the videos together here. I got the right amount of space. Right. And you know, at the time I was like, I need a spot where I can bring cars, I can have my vans in there, and I can bring cars, and I can do videos, all of this stuff. And they were like, oh, well, we can't let you bring the vans in the building. I'm like, well, it's a warehouse. It was like, well, we can't, because there's other businesses in here, and you can't have that, you can't have cars inside. So, but they had a lot and said, we'll put you a space where you can do cars here. And it worked out. And so now I'm able to do my nephew project, build my business here. And, you know, it's all working in the right time. You know.
Can you expound a little bit on the nephew project before we wrap up? What exactly is the nephew?
So the nephew project, man, I'm glad you asked that, man, because I really want others to understand what this whole concept is about. It's not about detailing.
Right.
It's not. It's about what. It's a lot of people out here that been in business. Some mechanics that have been self-taught and been doing cars for 20, 30 years. Trial and error. That's the best way to. That's the best to. If you could pass that, if you could bottle that and pass it on, that's a wealth of information.
Yep.
More than universities and all of that.
Yep.
I agree. So I'm saying, like, okay, this is what I learned from running from child support all these years and having to be under the radar. I learned how to, do a business with, using the minimum products and, just bare bones, guerrilla marketing, using all your resources to just survive.
Yep.
So I learned some stuff that a lot of companies can sell you a lot of products and stuff like that, but if you have to just rely on what you know, that's just marketing. That's just good marketing.
Yep.
You don't need all that. You need to know what you need to use. So I could tell them, this is all you really need, but you need to have some elbow, you need to have some integrity, you need to be able to go back and check over your work. I could tell them all that, what really detailing is. It's not all these products, it's not all this new shit that they're selling you. It's about knowing how to use what you have to get the best results.
Right.
I could teach them that.
Right.
That's all I could really teach them, though. That's what I got. You know what I'm saying? Other than the video shit that I learned when I went to school, which is kind of like my art. It's not something that I really want to put out there as, because this is where I made my bread and butter for so many years in detailing.
Right.
For more than anything else I ever did. You know what I'm saying? So this is something that a God-given talent from washing cars as a kid coming up. So this is what I could teach them. But the nephew project is more about just passing on what skill you have to somebody that might need it in your community. So I'm inviting carpenters, plumbers, mechanics, whatever skill set you got, that you got years in and you done pounded your head, you done hit your head against the wall and you done learned some shit. Pass that on to somebody, because that's how we get, that's how we build our own economy. That's how we, advance, because we should be able to be side by side in the universities learning everything to everybody else. We that's set up against us. We got to accept that this is where we are as a people. We got to make fucking lemonade out of lemons.
Make adjustments.
We have to make this shit happen.
I agree.
So whatever you good at, whatever you done learn, pass that on to somebody. You know what I'm saying? And in the process, so what I'm doing and what I'm doing, because all those years I wasn't in the system I should have a nice pension all them years I've been working. I should have a nice pension to where I can kick back. But no, it wasn't that for me. That wasn't my reality. I had to do everything ass backwards. You know what I'm saying? Until I corrected my whole problem and got out of that child support situation and all of that. And now I can see where I'm going. So I could pass on so much of that, but because that was my reality for so years, I wasn't able to save money the way I would like to, or have a nice big fat ass 401k and investments and all of this, because of the system was set against me. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm catching up. Now I can do it the right way. I can catch up, but shit, I'm already up there in age. So I don't have a whole lot of time to build a retirement right now. So, but I could pass on the game that I got, and in return, I can invest in somebody that show promise. So somebody that's learning up under me, that's saying, hey, I could do this, and they're showing and proving, I'm gonna invest in them. I'm gonna get them, I'm gonna put them in a van put them on a route,
Right.
show and prove.
Right.
You feel me? I get a very small residual out of it, but if I do that for 4 or 5 people, that's a nice little something to retire off of. That little residual.
Exactly.
It might not be what I would want it to be.
Right.
But I'm passing on something that they could pass on.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Ultimately, what you're doing, that creates a bigger payout in the long run that you might not even be here to see.
I won't
but you
be
can
here
still
to see, most
impact.
likely.
That's dope.
You know what I'm saying? But everybody that grows from that, and it's not just the detailing, it's like others that do the same thing, they can expect to pass on something that's wealth for 3 or 4 generations from us.
Yep.
And hey, we might not be around to see it, but we got to set that. We got to set that up. We got to set that legacy up because it begins with us.
I agree.
You feel me?
I agree.
So that's the whole. That's what the nephew project is all about. It don't have to be your nephew. You take somebody up under your wing. It might be your neighbor.
Right.
It might be your cousin's kids.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Little Ray, little badass Ray. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Ray only know to be bad because that's what he see around
Exactly.
him. But you take him up on your wing and say, Ray, you know what? Ray, I seen you cut that lady grass and you can make a whole lot of money doing that.
Right.
Yeah, Ray, let me show you how to do this.
That's real.
Let me give you this lawnmower and this blower and these bags and you go do this and then do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's real.
You know? Yeah, you know, next thing you know, little Ray thinking on his own, you know what I'm saying? And he thinking about, you know, I'm gonna put it on a whole lot of different levels.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
No, that's real.
But you gotta, we only know that hood shit because that's
We're trained and programmed to be that way.
Right.
Like you said, it's set up for us to be welcome to McDonald's, can I take your order?
Right.
Literally,
You
we're
know what
taught
I'm
to
saying?
go do
Right.
this, and then go apply for a job.
Right.
You know, like you said earlier, you were 20, you had your son, it's like, oh shit, I gotta go get a job.
Right.
And the first thing you did was went to a fast food place.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I get exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, so,
and on, you know, not to cut you off, that's similar to what I do because, you know, obviously me and you just recently met, but I'm a basketball coach. You know what I mean? I have a mentorship program. I have a nonprofit. You know what I mean? I'm all about creating opportunity because my thing, even with my podcast, you know, I have my own studio now. And my whole mindset was in the way I market it and everything that I do is I'm self-taught. You know what I mean? So like you said, trial and error experience. You know, I still bump my head to this day.
Right.
But it was all about being what I didn't have when I wanted to start my podcast. Because I remember when it was like, oh man, I want to do a podcast. And I'm like, well, where do I start? You know what I mean? Like, what do I want to do? So I'm reaching out to all these studios all over the Bay Area. Well, I was living in LA at the time, but I was, you know, reaching out and I was like, oh no, I'm sorry, we don't do podcasts. I'm like, well, where can I go? Oh, I don't know. And I'm like, well, damn. Like, how do I start this process? And then, you know, I would go through it and I finally, like I was saying earlier, went to a studio that was able to do it for me. And I would just ask them questions like, man, what kind of camera is that? Like, because I knew how to edit a little bit. You know, I know I'm good with computers. And then it was like you say, it was like, okay, how can I figure out ways to expand my own thing? And then it's like, all right, I went to school for marketing anyway, so let me try these little tricks that I know. And then I started seeing my brand expanding fast, and it's like, I would give ideas and stuff to my friends, and I was like, well, I can start my own marketing company doing this. You know, so you say, you kind of stumble across these things when you find a passion. And you know, then it's like now I'm making the transition to being full-on entrepreneur, and you know, it's a blessing in disguise. You know what I mean? So that's exciting, man. And that's the dope. You're really good at telling stories too. Really good. For you to say that you're not used to sitting on this side of the camera, man, you did. That was good. I didn't even have to talk much. Like you handled it. Sometimes I get up here with people and it's like, you know, you never know because, like you said, some people aren't used to talking on camera.
I'd say I'm not that good at being on this side of the camera, but I know I'm a storyteller because of the projects that I done worked on.
Exactly.
And you know, I had to come up with some shit quick, and I came up on the spot. And one of my professors used to say, Mr. Cotton, how you come up with that just so fast like that? I said, I was a good liar in school. I used to make up some shit on the spot, and it made me a good storyteller.
Right, that's hilarious.
She laughed like a motherfucker. She was like, you are crazy, but you are right.
But yeah, man, so again, man, that's a pretty dope, inspiring story, man. I salute you for everything you're doing, you know, giving back, having a direct impact in the community. If there's anything, obviously we have each other's contact information now, so if there's anything I could do going forward, I'm always an avenue, you know what I mean? I know people, like I said, I built this platform of my YouTube channel and everything, not just for myself, you know what I mean? It's for everybody. Because it's all about who you know, exposure, and just you know, opportunity, and putting stuff out there and resources, and you know, I just try to be that for everybody, because as long as we're helping each other out, the sky's the limit, you know what I mean? And I was telling Wendell, you know, again, shout out to Wendell, his marketing company, I think it's called Wednesday Marketing Group, or something like that. So Wednesday Marketing Group. So shout out to Wendell for setting this up. But I even told him, like, man, I'm gonna start getting my cars detailed by, you know, trying to, because that's what it's all about. And then nobody understands a black entrepreneur like a black entrepreneur. We know how the struggles go, and you know, even the stories you were telling earlier about, you know, not when you told the guy 65 an hour. And no hesitation, and it kind of threw you off, like, oh shit, like, I need to stop selling myself short, you know what I mean? If I set my price, whatever I set my price is, that's gonna dictate my clientele. You know what I mean? And I had to learn that, and I'm still learning that. So, man, again, I want to salute you, man. Thank you again for coming down, you know, setting this up, inviting me down to this location. Like I said, I'll put this out and everything, and then we'll go from there.
Right on.
All right, brother. Appreciate you, man.
All right, brother.
All right.